Welcome to Intake Talk Show. This is Bertha's Corner. If you haven't already, why don't you hit that subscribe button and join the family? Today, I have a very special guest. I have radio personality, Miss Elaine Thomas. What's up, Elaine?
Hey, Bertha.
How
It's
are
a
you?
good about that. I'm good. How are you?
Good. Thank you for joining me today.
You are so welcome.
Yes, it's a pleasure to have you here.
It's a pleasure
So,
to be here.
first of all, I was recently on your radio show doing an interview, and I want to think that it was about uh, domestic violence and sexuality, a bunch of things, because you hit on a lot of things, but you revealed a lot of personal information about yourself, trauma, losing a child, and all of that. And so we agreed that it would be a great opportunity for you to come here at Bertha's Corner and share with the viewers and just have a conversation. But before we do that, why don't you give the viewers some background information on yourself?
I don't know where to start. I am a alumni of the Nashville Super Choir, along with Dr. Bobby Jones. Sang with him over 20 years ago. I went solo 2001, released the project Songs in the Key of Jazz. That's the first project released, I think, 2013. Just recently released two other projects. I'm a contralto. I have a wide, my family is musically inclined, so I have a lot of so-called famous people in the family, wow, that you would know from all genres. I've been on radio for, wow, we're going on 3 years now. Two shows. One is Miss E Spot. That's every Thursday night, 7:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on WOJS 103.9 FM.com. And Chilling with Miss E and J Nash, which is an R&B hip hop adult type atmosphere, just as well as Miss E. Miss E Spot, we give more information and talk about different subjects to help encourage, empower, and entertain in love. Chilling with Miss E is more music-based, and we do talk about adult content, but it's a lot of music as well. And that's on Saturday and Sunday, 3 to 5. That's 2 hours. Yes, 2 hours on apulseradio.com. So with that, I'm also a minister in my church, actually I'm a prophetess. And I just love people. It's just a lot of things. I wear a lot of hats, but basically, music's my thing, and that's what I do.
I ain't mad at you, girl, because you did a lot of plugging. Go on and plug. Yes. So we're going to just talk today. Since you wear so many hats, one of the things that I'm very passionate about is educating the church on mental health. And so I think that's very important that we talk about that during this interview as well. But first, Elaine, let's start with losing your daughter.
Okay.
So can you tell the viewers how long ago that was?
That was almost 17 years ago. This year will be 17 years.
Okay. And I'm sure that in itself was traumatic. How did you handle that?
Well, yeah. When she was born, I was told that her lifespan would be short. So I just didn't know how short her lifespan would be. She was diagnosed with lupus while I was singing with Dr. Jones, but she didn't want anybody to know because she was one of those people who didn't want sympathy. She didn't want people to feel as though she didn't want people to come falsely to her with stuff and feel sorry for her. She was very educated. Anyway, she was getting sicker, and because at the time she was 18, she said she looked up different things online, and she said, well, I think I want to get this treatment, and you're going to have to take me to the hospital. So we took her to the hospital. She was just progressively getting worse. A lot of health issues, but anyway, she told me in the room Mom, when you come to see me, I want you to be happy. I don't want you to be down, because I get enough negativity here in the hospital. Because she said, I just need you to be positive. I need you, remain positive. Of course, me being, as they say, comedian, kept the nurses laughing and different things and just trying to maintain things. So she came home. She said, I'm coming home. I'm going home. She wanted to have the chemotherapy. And they told us, with her care that we had to wear gloves I had to wear gloves to take care of her, because the chemo was toxic. They said she had to be able to walk to leave. So she learned again how to walk, and she came home. I had gone to go, we had went and got our older sister, who at the time was pregnant with twins during this. My baby girl, who was the one that passed, she said, Mom, when I come back to this hospital, I'm going to die. So, of course, that's not something you want to hear. To lose a child, that's a part of you as a mother. And knowing that she was leaving, I was over there crying. She said, I know you're not over there crying. I need, I don't need you to be like that. I need you to be upbeat. I need you, and the closer it got to the end, she said, I don't want visitors. I just want my family here with me. At the house, she was having grandma seizures. I had never seen that happen. Never seen that happen. I was screaming. I'm like, oh Lord, please, no, not here. Please don't let her die. And rescue came and got her and took her. And my daughter, the oldest one, was, like I said, pregnant with twins. And I said, can you move any faster? But I'm trying as best as I can to keep my composure together. The morning that she passed, I was not there with her. The hospital called and said, how soon can you get here? So when they said that, I already knew she was gone. When we got there, her head was swollen. Swollen. I found out some other things that I'm probably not at liberty to say right now, but some other things happened that were behind the scenes. And one of the nurses came to me and told me that there was an error done as far as my child was concerned. Well, what the hospitals do, oh Lord, what they do is, if you have organs that they can use, then I wouldn't really wouldn't want to have that job. The person calls you after the person has passed to see if you want to donate organs.
That's a lot.
Yeah, I mean, she just passed, and he called me, and they said, yes, ma'am, I understand, but we would like to know if you want to donate organs to help someone else live. We're sorry for your loss. I'm saying, what?
So, Elaine, tell the viewers mentally, how did you cope with all of that?
Prayer.
With losing your child mentally, okay?
But prayer's not enough. You need to talk to somebody. My dad at the time was my pastor, and I talked to people to help me cope with what I was going through, because as a parent, as a mother, and you're losing your child, that's a part of you. So there are different things that the woman is going to go through when she loses her child, whether you knew they were going to die, whether it was expected for them to pass or unexpectedly. As a mother, you're going to go through a lot of different emotions. One, you're going to be angry because you see, what could I have done to stop this? And I'm saying, okay, I know the Lord. So you say, okay, well, we know the Lord to make a way, but the Lord said it was time for her to go. I want something good too. It's time for her to go. She's pleased me. This is her life. She's leaving. You have to carry on. Before that, I want to say before that happened, I went through a period where I was down. I was mentally disturbed, wondering, because there were so many things happening. We had left where we were, moved to Florida, away from everybody, starting a new life, just me and my youngest child. And I said, why am I here? So I was in a depressed state. Why am I here? Why am I here? What is my life here for? Why is this happening? Why can't I find a particular job? My daughter found 2 jobs, and I'm taking her from job to job because she's the only one working, and I couldn't find anything. But all this education, all the skills that I have, I couldn't find, and I was depressed. And then found a job, a good job that took care of everything. They even took care of my child after she passed. Oh, they did a lot for me. But anyway, the mother loses herself. She loses herself. She loses who is she? What could I have done to help my child? I prayed. I believe I'm living all I know, but that wasn't enough. But it was in his plan. It was in the Lord's plan to take her. After she passed, I was numb. And then as a parent, I'm busy because I got to make arrangements. What do I do now? I've never had to do this before, and especially not for my child, not for anybody. I didn't have to do any funeral arrangements for anybody. And I'm saying, what do I do? I didn't have insurance for her. I didn't do a GoFundMe. I didn't get online. Well, I don't even think we were online then anyway. I mean, all the stuff wasn't available. I mean, I don't like asking people for things, but the job that I had, and I say they took care of her. I believe everything happens for a reason. But I found myself passing out. It's just something that happened. I think it happens to everybody that's lost a child. At some point, she's gonna pass out, whether at the service or alone or somewhere. I was driving along one day and I just screamed to the top of my lungs, why? That was my baby. I was like, and I don't know, is it selfish to say when you're going through something traumatic like that, you want everybody to know, hey, I lost my child. Nobody knows what you're going through. They don't know that you just kicked the cat.
Yeah.
They have no idea. So you're going through this. What do I do now? How do I handle different things? What am I supposed to do? She's no longer here. The things that because she was my biggest supporter as far as music is concerned. What do you do? I mean, I just screamed. I was driving and I just screamed. And I drive fast. I was screaming, oh my God, why?
So, Elaine, you said you did talk to somebody. It was your dad who was a pastor. How did that help you, and how long did it take you to get out of that depressed state, first of all, that you were in previously before she passed away? And then grief in itself, we don't give a time frame because everybody grieves differently. But knowing that you had also had other traumas in your life and then you lose a child, how did you cope with all of that? How did you make it through all of that without talking to a mental health professional? Or did you? And if you didn't, then
if I did, I didn't know they were. I'm like, hey, what?
Tell me, how did you make it through that, Elaine?
Music has always been a staple for my family.
Mm-hmm.
And what did I do? You know what? 2 weeks after she passed, the twins were born. So I embraced the children. But the thing about it was one of them looked like her.
Mm-hmm.
I almost dropped the baby in the hospital. I said, oh my God. And my daughter said, Mom, I'm sorry, I forgot to tell you that Christopher looks like Evan. I'm like, I almost lost it. I'm like, oh my God. I dropped him. I dropped him back in the little bed, but I was like, oh my God. I think that's kind of like why I gravitated to, plus he had some other things going on, but the twins were born. So it was something still going on, but music, I always fell back on the music. And at that time, I had not worked on. I had worked on a few things, but they weren't available and to the public. I was just working on some things, trying to get my voice because she said I could still hear her talking to me after she passed, because she was telling me different things to give to her sister, different things. She told me before the twins were born, Mom, I'm not gonna be here when they're born. I was here for the oldest one, but I'm not gonna be here when the twins are born. I'm saying, what are you saying? And she kept telling the oldest one, you're my favorite. I said, he the only one. And she gave me, cut her eyes and gave me a little look. I'm saying, okay, what does this mean? But anyway, if I talk to people, but certain things, I'm such a loner. I'm such a loner. I just put everything in the music. I just, just go on with the music. I talked to some people at my job at the time, and then one of my supervisors said, okay, she's gone now. You have to get over this. But like you said, one thing I know for sure, death is certain, but grief lasts forever. There's no time limit on grief.
So did you even have it in your thought process to sit down and talk to a mental health professional? That's where I'm trying to get at.
Because
why not?
You told me to be real. Look at him. Because with a mental health professional, I'm thinking I ain't crazy. I'm good, because that was the stigma. What y'all going? Y'all crazy? Y'all crazy anyway? No, I ain't gonna sit and talk to somebody and pay him. No, I'm gonna pay you to talk about what's going on. How I scratched my leg because I look crazy and all this kind of no.
So, which is now, as we know, Elaine, is a serious problem within our culture. All jokes aside, I mean, we're laughing about it, but seriously, we know that this is one of the greatest problems with our culture as African Americans, is that because we do have, unfortunately, we have a lot of trauma-based issues, especially with epigenetics, and that is this whole idea of slavery coming into our genetics. And we have other things that we have to deal with in Western society alone itself. And so many African Americans foresee sitting down talking to a therapist, as you said, as, no, I'm not crazy. And in fact, and I always say to people, I have yet to counsel a crazy person, whatever that is. The same way I have yet to counsel a normal person, whatever that is. And so that's a stigma that we have to work on getting past with this, I'm not crazy. And it's not just in African American culture, but in many cultures, but predominantly in African American cultures, because we are taught to be private people. That idea, whatever goes on in the house, it has to stay in the house.
Okay, and some stuff went on the house to come out. Yeah.
Exactly. And your dad was a pastor, so that's another issue, because then in most churches, of course, we don't talk about this whole mental stuff without saying it's a spirit.
She went through a lot of things for the years that she was alive. Excuse me, everything wasn't peaches and cream. We had some moments. We had some life moments. We had we dealt with homelessness, and I know when we lived in Little Rock. Well, actually, I raised them in Philadelphia, so we were in Philly. We lived in some rough neighborhoods. When I tell you, it was okay corral, but people looked out for us. When I started traveling with Dr. Jones, well, different things happened in between that time, leading up to that. And then she said, Mom, you can do this. So she was my biggest supporter beside my dad. She was my biggest supporter. Even though she was sick and laying down in the back seat while I drove somewhere, she'd sit in the audience and put her little thumb up. Doing good, Mom. You have a voice. You don't have to sound like everybody else. Find your voice. You can do this. You can do this. So it was.
I don't want to interrupt you because I want you to finish your story. Yeah, because you're just taking over my show, but it's okay. I'm just saying.
I'm so sorry. I know how it feels.
Yeah.
Give me.
There's some things that I want to address. There's some things that I want to address before we move any further.
Yes, ma'am.
Because you brought out some points. And that is a lot of people perceive that a therapist is just going to sit there and ask them questions, and that you have to know what I'm feeling in order to help me. And can I just say, as a therapist,
Come on, say it now.
don't start, especially one that deals with trauma and grief and many other different things, that every therapist is different. And there isn't a lot of question asking. But there is, if you're doing it right, with allowing the person to talk to you and be able to process their emotions, help them walk through those steps. And while we know that grief never goes away with some people, what we want to do is help you cope with it. Because the idea is that people go through trauma, people go through grief and never deal with it. And then there's a backlash. And the backlash sometimes can be what we call somatic. And people start experiencing health conditions. Some people, they do emotional eating. They do a whole bunch of other things to deal with these emotions that they haven't processed. And so our job then comes in with helping you process these emotions so that there isn't a backlash. Because with every emotion, there is a physical stimulus. And so we have to deal with that. I think the World Health Organization said it best, is that there is no physical health without mental health. Because everything that we do as human beings, we take in cognitively. And when we look at when we say mental, people get confused, but mental is just dealing with your psychological and your emotional state. And as humans, but more importantly, as African Americans, we tend to overlook that and try to bypass our emotions and what it is that we're thinking and feeling about this person and these experiences that we have in the world. And we have to deal with it, because if we don't, there is a backlash. So I think it's important that I said that, because you did say something that a lot of people do have concerns about, is that why should I sit down and talk to you just to have you ask me questions? And you can't feel and you don't know what I'm feeling. No, we don't. A lot of times we don't know what you're feeling, but I believe our profession has trained us well enough to be empathetic. And I don't always think a person has to know what you're feeling to help you work through it. And believe it or not, a lot of people in the helping field, including myself, we tend to go in the helping field because we have our own stuff that we've experienced. And so we want to help others work through those experiences. So I just wanted to throw that out there.
Yes, ma'am. I was not trying to take over your show. Let me share it. Okay.
It's okay. No, I'm glad you said that, because I needed to address that, because there's a lot of people out there who, perceive sitting down with a therapist in that way. And every therapist is different.
I think one of the things is, well, I know with me and some of the people that I talk to, which is not a good handful, we look at the different things. We look for somebody. We want somebody who has at least experienced some of what we've gone through. Mm-hmm. They can relate to what we're feeling, and not just that. Maybe they can offer some insight as to how they coped with the issue that they were going through, which is similar to what our experience. We're looking for help to help us cope, because we don't know. We've never been there before. We're walking blindly. I mean, who prepares for death? Nobody. Mm-mm.
And to actually, if I told you how I coped with my mother's death, which was very difficult for me, the way I cope won't necessarily help you cope, because everybody copes differently.
True.
Now, for me, my coping strategy is busy, busy, busy. And so I clean myself, until I'm tired. And that's not a good way of coping, but I just put that out there. That's how I coped with my mother's death. But at the end of the day, eventually those emotions caught up with me.
Oh, yeah.
And I had to stop and I had to process them. And go through whatever it was that I was feeling and allow myself to feel that. And so I think a lot of people try to busy themselves the way that I did to try to avoid those emotions. And eventually they catch up with you.
Oh, yes, they do.
Yes.
And it comes on it anytime. You can't even gauge that. It's just all of a sudden, boom, you're screaming or you're crying and you run it out. Yeah. I need a moment. Oh, okay.
Yeah. So how do you deal with everyday life as one who has, and I know you, the viewers don't know that. I've known you for a while. And I've known you for a while. But how do you deal with everyday life knowing all that you've experienced and still be able to put one foot in front of the other?
I'm grateful for life itself every day. I don't I really don't dwell on the bad things that happen in my life. I had to look back at the things that have been accomplished, and I don't really pay attention to that because I have so much more to do. My driving force is, as long as I have breath in my body, I'm going to give God praise. I'm going to continue doing what He's given me to do, and to help somebody, and to finish the goals. I'm trying to die empty. Everything that's been given to me, I want to do before I leave this earth. That's my driving for every day.
Okay, so you know I'm coming for you, right? Because what you just said to me, yeah. Because what you just said to me, Elaine, is so stereotypical. If you're a professional who would like to be on the show, or an individual who has struggled with mental health and would like to be a guest, email us at info@intake.tv.
Follow us on all of our social media platforms.
Okay.
Intake is the place to be.
It's because